All right, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and I don't have a great deal to say today. I'm going to save a bunch of the deep dive TA live positioning for the weekend's video as always, because of course this week has been inflation data. We've had CPI, PPI, we had FOMC rate pauses, all of that stuff, right? And it tends to be a week of choppiness, and from there, it's the closes for this week that really matter. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time touching on a couple of things that are important in the charts. But like I said, mostly let's get the closes for the week out the way. We'll come back tomorrow and do the deep dive as always. For now, I wanted to point at this because Twitter was blowing up for me yesterday on a relative basis, because for the entire time we've had this idea, right? For the entire time we've had this as the hypothesis that we would indeed not have a 2008 style plunge from back down here and instead would run the all-time highs in a rapid fashion. At the top here has been this as an expectation, right? Are they going to cut rates? Is something going to break somewhere around perhaps the end of Q1 of next year? And does that catalyze the end for this current bull run, this current bull move? And most importantly, number two, does Congress end up being banned from owning stocks at the top? I said, and I have been saying all along, that this would be quite a worrisome sign if it was to manifest, because we saw this exact same thing here. In this neighborhood, the Fed officials were banned for quote unquote ethical reasons from owning and trading stocks. And what really happened was they just let the Fed out of the top before we entered this big bear market, right? So then what they've done is run it back turbo. And now, potentially, I was saying, I wonder if we see the same thing with Congress. I wonder if they allow Congress to be banned for quote unquote ethical reasons at the top. And that will also mark the top along with this emergency rate cut system that I'm expecting to see. Now, as always, it's a hypothesis, right? It's a hypothesis, but for now, it's becoming a theory. The difference, of course, being a theory is proven by data and experimentation, whereas a hypothesis has not yet been proven. Anyway, the reason I bring this up and the reason Twitter was exploding for me yesterday is because US congressmen have officially introduced a bill to ban Congress and their spouses from trading stocks. Now, before I move on from this, it's important to be objective. It's important to keep it real as always, okay? First of all, they have a history of proposing these bills and then nothing happens, okay? So yes, I'm aware of that. You don't need to throw that in the comments, okay? Yes, I'm aware that they like to propose this all the time and then kick the can down the road and no one really does anything about it. Nothing ever comes to pass. It is what it is. But this time is slightly different, and there's a reason for that. If I scroll down to here, right, you can see that they are proposing to ban their Congress and spouses from trading stocks. And this was initially proposed in September. This particular bill was initially proposed in September. I covered it then, and we said the same thing then. They have a long, long history and lineage of proposing this sort of thing, and then nothing ever comes from it. But this time is different because now we have, since this proposal in September, instead of kick it down the road, we have now actually brought this to office, and this bill has officially been introduced. So again, I'm not really saying that this means it's certainly going to happen. I'm just simply saying it was an expectation that they would do the same old thing that they did with the Fed back here at the top. And if that was to happen in combination with rate cuts, and most importantly, because that could happen and the rate cuts could happen, and I don't care, right? I need to see the chart technically break down. I need to see a technical breakdown to exit the market and start to look for shorts. I'm not just going to say, oh, Congress are banned, I'm hopping out of the market, okay? Because Congress could be banned here and we could do this for many months afterwards. So understand that. But at the same time, like I said over and over again, this has been an expectation. And if we were to see them be let out at the top, then why should I think it's any different to when they let the Fed out back here? So it's pretty interesting to see that this, for now, is at least building some steam. For now, this at least seems to be being taken more seriously than the prior proposals have been. So again, it remains something that I'm expecting to see. It remains to be something that I'm keeping an eye on. And like I said, if we do get a technical breakdown coupled with rate cuts or catalyzed by rate cuts, and we see Congress being banned as we get some kind of distribution top pattern formation, then it will be time to start to play a lot more defensive than I currently am. At the same time, it's important for me not to be married to any idea. It's important for me not to be dogmatic, right? Just how I ruthlessly mocked the people that when we were at the low region, they were calling for this, right? They were just parroting each other's ideas. They had no real reason to expect this to happen. And I was saying, no, 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 no. And where they really went wrong is not in that they were expecting this. It's that whilst the market did this and made higher highs and higher lows, they stayed expecting this. Okay, so that's the problem. The problem is not being right or wrong. You get things wrong all the time. The problem is when the market is speaking to you and you stick with your dogmatic approach. So with that in mind, whilst this is my expectation, I want to make sure that assuming we start to move up into this uncharted territory, whilst I continue to expect a rollover, a deflationary bust and all of this stuff that's written here, I need to also be willing to let the market prove to me that actually we just perhaps made a 4-year cycle low and we're going to continue to run this thing hot. So again, open to everything, not dogmatic, strong opinions, weakly held. And I am fully prepared to run this thing hot like we did back in 1999. I am ready to party like it's 1999. And in fact, objectively speaking, this year has been an even bigger party because 99 at least had 1 or 2 dips, right? This year has been up only. And it's hilarious because remember, down here was 2008 fractals, don't fight the Fed, bro, higher for longer, bro, all of that trash, right? And ultimately, higher for longer just meant the stock market. That's what we really were talking about this year. So what a wild time to be alive. We are currently overbought, okay? Objectively speaking, again, we are overbought, and this has occurred after major lows. But, the last couple of times we were as overbought in terms of percentage of stocks, very, very good things happened to the stock market walking forward. So again, when I say I'm expecting this, that is the base case. But like I said over and over again, I am not going to be dogmatic here. It's a strong opinion weakly held. And if we're going to do this, then I am getting ready to run it hot as well. Also, as a side note here, whenever I say things like this, people have very selective hearing. I'll just let you know now. You don't have to write a comment to say I'm wrong, because I'm not wrong, because I don't know. Okay, I don't know. So you don't have to say, no, we're definitely doing this, or we're definitely doing this, okay? If you think you know, then just leave. Just leave, because you don't know nothing, okay? Same as anyone else. I wanted to show you this for Bitcoin, because yet another indicator has flashed early, telling us to expect better than expected outcomes walking forward for Bitcoin. Interestingly enough, this is one of the few metrics, indicators, on-chain tools that I have shown over the past weeks and months that is not suggesting we're going to put in an early parabola, and instead implies that we've got 85 to 90 weeks left in this bull run. So take a good look at this, okay? Does this mean we are going to run this thing hotter for longer as ever? And as I keep saying, but it is really important, I am open to all outcomes. So rant over, let's take a quick look at the charts, because there's a couple of important things to point out. But like I said, I don't really want to spend too much time here because it's the closes that matter. The 1 or 2 things I do think are worth mentioning today is that if we take it from here to today's session, right, which is not open yet, of course, today will be trading day 34 of an expected 40-day cycle. So 38 to 42 days would be absolutely perfect. Tells us that we're late and we're stretched. And I wonder if what we do is either touch the top, which will be a double top with the all-time high, and then reject. Of course, we've been expecting to see the double top can come out in full force, right? All the bears that remain dogmatic the whole way up are going to wait for this and say, ha, told you so, double top, right? That's just how markets work, okay? That's how people that aren't willing to hold their hands up and say they don't know anything trade. And this time's probably no different, right? So if we roll over from here, people will be saying, ha, told you so, lower high. And if we were to run up here and touch the top and then roll over, we'll have people going, ha, told you so, double top. But this is the beauty of cycles, right? And this is why I'm bringing this up today. We are late in the cycle, a multi-day decline now, something like this, perhaps with a 2 drives pattern to find our cycle low before we run it back turbo, makes perfect sense. That's what cycles are telling us are going to happen. For those of you that are new here, when we get to a cycle low, we look for a 2 drives pattern. A 2 drives pattern means we come down, make a low, we counter trend bounce, and then we roll over, undercut that first low, only to find a swing, mark that as the cycle low, confirm it with a swing low pattern and a trend line break, and then we look to get long somewhere in this neighborhood for the next daily cycle. So it's also worth noting Bitcoin doesn't like to do a 2 drives pattern, but stock markets and pretty much all other traditional finance markets do, any of the ones that are base cycles. So for Bitcoin, we look for a V out of the cycle low, and for the S&P, we look for those 2 drives, something like this, okay? So that's what I'm expecting to see. So if we can get a 2 drives pattern from here, something like this, counter trend bounce, undercut that low, go, perfect, right? We'll get long here, move the stops up, and run it back turbo, expecting that blow off top moment in the stock market. So that's what I'm looking for. But of course, like I keep saying, the stock market cycles are telling us that if this isn't the top's coming any day now for this daily cycle until we can find that next daily cycle low due somewhere around, let's say the 21st of December to 4 days after, okay? 4 trading days after. You can pretty much copy and paste that analysis to the NASDAQ. So if the NASDAQ is probably going to move in tandem with the S&P. The Dow may well do its own thing. I wouldn't be surprised if this just completes the measured move to 38.2. And if it does, then I'll be using this as my exit, right? All the while we're above that, I'll push the long. As soon as we break down from there, I'll just close this position and look to draw a trend line in the other direction, something like this. and buy the breakout again from there. So that's the plan for the Dow. Russell 2K, we're going to continue to push. Same for oil until it breaks out, then we'll continue to push the short. Last but not least is Bitcoin. So I kind of got a little bit trapped on this yesterday. You can't really, it depends how much time you got, right? I'm winding down for Christmas. It is what it is. I've taken this long. We poked above it. Technically, if I zoom in, we did close a daily candle out, but I managed to buy the absolute high of the day yesterday. So that's fine. As it stands, I'm long, I'm strong. I've got my stop below the cycle low, as you can see here. Let me zoom in a bit so you can see where it is. And I want to give this a couple more days to push off. Once this pushes off, I will move the stops from the first two positions up, and we'll see what the market can give from here. So Bitcoin officially in position, officially added to this position, and so long as this downward slipping red resistance line holds, then I won't be cutting this position. I'll be holding it and pushing it and moving the stops up, like I said. So I'll come back over the weekend. I'll do the full deep dive TA. I haven't added any miners yet for anyone that's going to ask. I haven't done that. The setup's just not quite there for me, but I think it will be showing up in the next couple of days. I wonder if these crypto-related equities follow the stock market into its cycle low and then move from there. That's to be determined. There's a good chance they just blast off and we miss the cycle lows, but sometimes it be like that, right? It's pretty hard to catch this move in an up-only market. There will, of course, be a time in the not too distant future where we break down from here, draw another trend line, and we'll be able to add. So we'll figure this out one day at a time, as always. But like I said, I'll come back over the weekend and do all of this good stuff for you in full detail. For the members stocks, of course, we added that position yesterday on the breakout, so happy days there. Still waiting for that last one to confirm, but you know how to do it, right? I've shown you how to do it. I told you exactly what the criteria are, so you should know what you're doing from there. Eyes on the prize, finger on the trigger, as always. For everyone else, I hope you have a great Friday. I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you tomorrow. Until next time, take care from me. All the best. Cheers. Bye.